I want to be respectful of the line that is taking place here and get to other people. You're very welcome. I'd also add, feel free to address individual members of the panel about their own work if you're so inclined. Sir.
Yes, thank you. Welcome. I'm so glad that all of our distinguished panelists are here this morning. This is really true. My name is Greg Glass, and I have worked as a prolific nonfiction writer, and I've also worked as a professional musician. I'm currently doing something completely different, but I want eventually to come back to making art. And the question I have for you is, well, one thing that I desperately fear is that at some point I will write a hit. And after that, my entire, everything else I do from that point on will be repeating that same hit over and over again, perhaps boring people. That if I write a book and it's successful, that I will give the same book talk a million times and be asked the same questions a million times, and that would get rather boring.
Why are you looking at me, Joseph Scrimshaw?
You're a very attractive man. Eyes moving, they gotta land somewhere.
And so, even when I find that even now when I write something and I perform it, after 2 or 3 times I'm going, no, I don't want to do this anymore. People have already heard this and they're bored with it. How do you keep it fresh, especially if you're a performer, or again, if you're an author who goes and gives talks, and you feel like you're repeating the same, presenting the same material again and again and again?
Fear of writing something popular. I will say you should have such problems.
I know, that's what I was going to say. That's a bad problem.
I get what you're saying. I will put that open to the panel, though.
I would like to, Joseph Scrimshaw, I turned to Slash from Guns N' Roses because I read an interview with him many years ago where someone was really trying to give him a hard time and going, how do you feel that Appetite for Destruction, your first album, was like brilliant in a classic and everything else was like, meh. And Slash was like, I made a brilliant classic. I really don't give a fuck about the order. I'm gonna travel the world playing guitar.
Right. I have a novel that's called Old Men's Words. My first published novel. It's a friendly chat. It's sold hundreds of thousands of copies. It's in 20 different languages. It's currently being made into a movie with fucking Wolfgang Peterson directing it. You know, he's got a couple of Oscar nominations. And people do ask me, it's like, what do you do that might be the book that you're most famous for? And I'm like, oh, so you mean that there will be a book that until I die will always be in print, will always give me a royalty check every 6 months, and will allow me the freedom and opportunity to do whatever I want without regard of whether or not I will have to pay for my mortgage that 6 months. My life is fucking awful. Again, you know, just as you think of the day job as the, you know, the thing that can give you the safety net, the Old Man's War is the thing that gave me the opportunity to do so many different things that, you know, when people talk to me about that book, or people talk to me about, you know, when is there going to be another book in the series and stuff like that, I look at it as the gift that allows me a certain amount of freedom. And this is really a half empty, you know, glass half empty, glass half full sort of thing. You know, yes, you know, Rick Springfield will always play Jesse's Girl. You know, our friend Jonathan Colton will always play Still Alive or Code Monkey, or, you know, all that sort of stuff. And you know what? That's fine, because at the end of the day, everybody basically who's ever been successful more or less is remembered for that one thing. And you have that one thing. What's the complaint?
Anyone else on that?
I fell asleep with the question.
It was a deeply personal question about you, Molly Willis. I will address that. Yeah, I mean, there are times when we're doing our riff tracks writing where it is not easy to write, believe it or not. It is really kind of painstaking to do it well, at least as I consider it, you know, up to my standards. We try not to do the obvious thing every time, to change it up and change the point of view. So it takes a lot of time. And there are moments I go, oh, doing this for so long. But then I come to my senses and realize this is giving me a living. And it allows me to do something like what I'm doing right now, which is writing a comic book, which I've wanted to do for so long. And I don't have to like make that work financially right now because I am doing my other thing that. So I'm just seconding what John Scalzi said about affording the freedom to do other creative stuff as well.
The other thing.
Second what you said.
Thank you. I think we can gavel this meeting now and go out for drinks.
Yeah.